An elven warrior trapped on modern-day Earth. Two friends with different destinies meet at a magical school. These are some of the stories we at Electric Lips Comics are working on. You can get your copies of both The Mana Chronicles and Tales of Mithril at elpmerch.com. Support independent creators, explore the merch featuring exciting ELP Comics art with a wide range of designs. Electric Lips Comics. Imagination electrified.
Welcome everyone to another special edition of our 2024 top 5 and bottom 5. We have a guest that has come back for a second time for this podcast. Please welcome Anthony Francis.
Great to be back. Really excited about this this particular show that we're doing here. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. So we posted our Salem's and my top 5 and bottom 5, but we gotta get a professional in here that can tell us how right or wrong we really are.
Well, hold on, I'll go call one.
So no, like I said, this is our third annual one. And like I said, we use this kind of as an excuse to everything that we didn't get a chance to see throughout the year in review. We kind of cram, at least say like cram everything the last month of the year, just to watch everything. So we kind of build our top 5 and bottom 5 off of that. Sometimes there's a lot more bottom 5s. Unfortunately, this year for me was hard to pick the worst 5. I don't know about you.
It wasn't tough, and I don't like that. Wasn't tough.
And people are saying this was 2024 was like one of the best years for horror movies. And I go, I think 2022 was far superior.
I agree that it was superior, but I do think, while not one of the best, I think this was a strong year for horror. I believe, but yeah, you're right about 22.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
I mean, that's when we kicked off our show, just because it was such a good year.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah. Now that tells you the year was so good it made us do a show.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's praise.
So, all right. Without further ado, let's get into. We'll start with our top 5, counting from number 5 to number 1, the best. I'll go first. For my number 5, we talked about this briefly, is In a Violent Nature. And, we're not spoiling anything here, but like I said, this was, in my opinion, just a fantastic take on the slasher genre, doing something that we've never really seen before, the third-person view of the slasher. I'm surprised it took essentially almost 50 years for this to get done this way, but it was such a pleasant breath of fresh air in the slasher genre. I'm shocked that it did so well, and I'm glad it did. And now Chris Nash is working on number 2 of In the Violent Nature,
and I'm there for it, man. I cannot wait. I totally agree with you. It's a great adjust, if you will, to the slasher genre. Is and I'll be honest, when I first saw it, the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, I was worried that they were going to try to be Gus Van Sant with a slasher, and I said, because that's one of my problems with indie films. There's a fine line between making art out of the mundane, still shots, and and then there's the other side of that line where, well, what you're doing is just boring, and we're getting nothing out of it. So I was scared, but right, maybe 12 minutes in, I changed my mind. It it the flow, it just I hate to use that phrase because that's what the camera work is, but I went with the flow of that of what they were doing with it, and I each from moment to moment after that, I just said, "This is kind of incredible what they're doing here."
Mhm.
And for me, of course, and I know for you, the practical effects, please and thank you.
Yes.
But and I won't I mean, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't talk spoilers yet, but one of the great, and I don't just mean modern slasher films, one of the great kills in slasher cinema, I think. I'll just say yoga.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's incredible what he does there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this film, and very quickly, I feel bad. I always publish my best and worst of the year, and I always do my best horror of the year as a separate article. And I was late. This was a busy holiday season. Um, Allied was saying, "Where's your list? I'm coming," and I put it together really fast.
Mhm.
And I forgot to put that on there, and I do a top 10, and it's probably my number 4 in reality, but, I can't do that now, so I'll just make it 5, but it's not on my published list, and it upsets me very much that it's not there. But, no, I agree, it's my number 5 too now. Just one of the best movies of the year, I think, forget genre.
Oh, yeah. It's I'm interested to see what he's gonna do with the sequel. Is it gonna be the same character, or is it gonna be a just another fresh take?
Right, and that would be cool if he did a different character every time.
Mhm.
I don't know, and different settings, like, this is I mean, I hate when people say it, but it's true. This is the art house Jason, you know? Are we gonna get a different kind of art house Freddy or art house, alien creatures? And that would be interesting. I'm with you. I'm very excited to see what he's gonna do.
Oh, man. I can only imagine if you did this version of Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I would love that,
Yeah.
for many reasons. I'm not the biggest Jason Takes Manhattan fan, but, I
Mhm.
enjoyed the 5 minutes we were in Manhattan, that was fun.
Like I said, it's Jason briefly takes Manhattan.
Yeah, right. Jason steals through Times Square and ends up in an alley somewhere in Canada. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what it is.
Awesome. So that's your number 5. So why don't we start with you then? What's your number 4?
Okay, I was taken to task about this one by my father, who is a big horror fan,
Okay.
but he just can't vibe with this series, and I'll just start out by saying I did not like the first one. I did not like the first one. I went, thumbs down, if you will, on it. I wrote
Mhm.
a negative review. I did not wanna see this, but our son is a horror guy because he's our son, and he still calls himself the horror kid. He's 16. Uh, and, if we were on video, you'd see I'm surrounded by horror in here in our movie room. Uh so I went to the press screening because this is one where we could take a guest, only because of him. And I ended up going to two separate press screenings and one more time paying for it when it released. That movie is Smile 2.
Okay.
Um, uh, by your reaction, I know you don't agree. Uh, but I thought, I mean, in every way, shape, or form, it's a superior film to the first one. The first one left me just cold, and it's now a fading memory, frankly. I consider this Smile, not Smile 2. Um, I thought, um, I thought it was Parker Finn who directed it. He did the
Mhm.
first one too. I don't know what was wrong that time, but I just thought he did an incredible job with, I mean, his camera work. I thought there were some artful shots in this thing. I thought he created basically a vivid nightmare and brought it to life. And there was just for me just some incredible moments, incredibly designed moments that I just kept saying to myself, this can't be Smile 2. We walked into the wrong film. and I thought there was a creepiness. I mean, it wasn't scary, of course, but there was a creepiness to it. It was bigger without going over the top. Maybe it went over the top, but in a fun way. I really appreciated the way he pieced this together, the way he used his frame. The cinematography was amazing, and I thought he turned his original idea into something a little deeper and a lot more effective. I really, really was surprised by this thing. It knocked me for a loop. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your points. Talking about like let's call it the jazz hands dance group scene.
Yeah, I said to my wife when we took her in the with the regular folk,
Mhm.
I, I said, "Did you like the Bob Fosse sequence? That was incredible." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed Smile One. So
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a great take and dive into insanity.
Hmm.
Um, I have found out by doing my shows that I don't like pop stars a lot. So
You do or don't?
do not. No.
Oh, I don't either. I can't stand pop stars. Yeah,
Um,
especially today's.
yeah. And something about that in the stories kind of turns me off. That's my least favorite part of Trap was the pop star aspect
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Lady Raven.
I'm.
Um, I was disappointed that we didn't really follow, the ex boyfriend cop for the entire movie.
I could see that. Yeah, that would have been something.
I mean, he was essentially he was treated as the final girl returning for the sequel aspect of it.
This is true. Yeah, you're right. And he's a good actor. I like him.
Yeah. Um, and I don't know. Without spoiling the ending, I don't know how number three is going to be possible without being just overly grandeur.
I agree, and I think that uh, I told my son after that first screening and my fellow critics, I'm like, stop right now. Don't
Hmm.
go any further. You don't need to. We now know. Yeah. Well, I won't spoil it, but
Yeah.
we now know how it's gonna go and where it's gonna go, and you don't need to. That's an incredible ending, I thought.
Oh, it's kind of like the ending of Truth or Dare
Yeah,
in a way,
yeah, you're right. You're
which
right.
they did not make a second one, so that's probably good. So
That's very good that they did.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this the it leaves so many questions that have to be answered if there's a number three, and I guarantee there will be a number three.
Oh, there will, because this I think this did quite well.
Yeah. So like I said, it's a good movie. I enjoyed Smile One a lot more just because it was more, you know, it. I felt like it was more personal and more relatable.
Well,
I
that
can't.
I agree. Yeah, that I agree with. It's and I don't mean this in the negative, but it's a smaller film,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
story it's telling. And and I really love Kevin Bacon's daughter and Sedgwick's daughter. She was really good.
Hmm.
My son had me reevaluate it before we went to see Smile 2 because I was talking big smack on it. And it had been so long since I saw it, and we watched it, and I didn't like despise it like I remembered. And I don't know why I was so hard on it, but it's still for me a thumbs down, if you will, but just not like
Hmm.
boo. Just it doesn't vibe for me completely.
Yeah. And like I said, that's good. That's what's I like about the horror genre is everyone has their types, and
Yeah,
I love hearing other people's opinions about it.
right.
And I'm just my concern is always is that we're gonna get such a lore dump that it's gonna
Yeah,
ruin it.
I don't want that. And then there'll be after 6 films when they start running out of ideas, there'll be a from the Smile universe. I'm like, no,
Oh, easily,
please stop.
easily there will be other demons that
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, yeah. Well, that demon was born from this demon. Oh no!
Yeah,
Please stop.
yeah.
Yeah,
Keep the mystery. Keep the everything as is. As long as you can do that, I think the series will be golden.
Right. Oh, very quickly, I also thought she deserved some kind of a nomination at the Golden Globes.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I,
She
she was,
dived into insanity well.
yeah, it's just like I mentioned, Bacon's daughter.
Hmm.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 4 is the movie that is Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage without you knowing it's Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that's wonderful makeup.
Yeah, and that's Long Legs. If I honestly, I feel like if you didn't know that Long Legs was Nick Cage, if you didn't know that, you'd have no idea.
I agree.
It doesn't look like him. It doesn't sound like him, and because you usually can tell when it's Nick Cage, right?
Oh,
He has his method acting, and that's just over the top insanity.
yeah, but he does it so well.
Yeah, yeah, and to me, it feels like it could have been a uh, X Files episode from the '90s, but
Well
the
said.
horror twist.
Well said. That's perfect. Perfect description of this wonderful movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do we
and
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was, I'm just saying, it's just like I love X Files to no end. So when I watch this, I go, I feel like I'm watching X Files, and I loved every minute of it. There is questions that are answered, whether you like the answers or not, but it is essentially a thriller with who done it and intrigue and supernatural elements that I think melds perfectly together.
Fantastic, yeah. I am in total agreement. Am I supposed to wait until it's a little higher on my list?
Oh, we can talk about it now. What number is on your list?
It is number 2, sir.
Number 2.
I thought I mean, you said it best. I can't top that. It's like the best X-Files episode with supreme horror.
Hmm.
It's fantastic. I'm gonna steal that quote when I'm talking to people. I won't do it in print or publications, but
you,
I'll,
you, you can per graveyard. That's fine.
yeah. I'll be like, hey, yeah, my buddy Jeff. Yeah, Jeff. Just off the top of my head, it's like an X Files episode. No, it's. I tell you, I loved it so much. I really did. And Nick Cage, what you said, even when there's a moment when and this isn't a spoiler,
Hmm.
when he screams "Hail Satan," and you still don't know it's Nick Cage if you didn't know.
Right.
Incredible makeup. He is instantly creepy from the millisecond he
Hmm.
peeks his head out from behind that house or barn or whatever it was. Woohoo! Yeah. Oh, it's just, and that vibe from that moment sends chills, and those chills stay until the final credits roll, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's an incredible film. I'm really looking to forward to his next movie, Osgood Perkins, The Monkey.
Hmm.
I'm getting a lot of press stuff for it, and I'm really getting excited. Yeah, I love the look of Long Legs. I love, is it Micah? Is that how you pronounce her name?
I think so.
Micah Monroe. I've been a fan for a while now. She does some really great genre stuff, I think. And she's good in every one of them. Did you see God is a Bullet?
I did not.
It is. I loved it. It was on my best of that year. I think it was 2022. And she's the co-star of it. And I was pushing for an Oscar nomination. She was that great, and she's great here. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff set up where most movies, I'll say Hollywood horror, would just answer them badly or leave threads hanging just in case we want a sequel. And
Hmm.
like you said, you may not like the answers. I'm always scared in any modern horror film, good or bad, when the reveals start to happen. Okay, is this where they're going to blow it? Is this where they're going to just do something really stupid? And I rolled with every single second of this film. I love it so much.
Yeah. And let's face it, the viral marketing was amazing.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that you can get Longlegs to sing "Happy Birthday" to you,
That's wasn't that great?
and
Yeah,
like that, that's how you do it.
that is that harkens back to Sanchez and Melnick. Is it Melnick? Myrick. Uh, with their promotion for the Blair Witch Project.
Hmm.
Everybody thought these kids were dead.
Yep,
You know, that's great.
and no public appearances for a year after the
Yeah,
movie. Yeah, that's
exactly. Yeah, I remember my neighbor at the time. I told him I saw it, and I said I loved it, and he said, "Yeah, I did too." And too bad they're not around anymore. I'm like, dude, that's totally phony. That's not true. And he was so shocked. And I just wanted to go give the filmmakers a hug. I'm like, wow, you guys did it right. People think they're dead. And yeah,
yeah,
no, it's incredible performance, promotional campaigns. And
yeah.
yeah, I was so happy that I love Long Legs so much.
Oh yeah, it's easily top 5 Nick Cage performances.
I agree completely. I agree. Yeah, and the very quickly, the 2 creepiest scenes for me with him, and I
Hmm.
and I won't do any spoiler, but in the moment I just spoke about when he comes and speaks to the little girl. The way the camera angles, the way they're shooting him, they're down not quite that far, but almost from her point of view, looking up at him a little bit. And then when he says his final line, the camera's right on him in extreme close up.
Hmm.
It's genuinely unnerving. And then in the of course the I won't say it, but the where he screams "Hail Satan," that whole sequence.
Yes.
I was just like, "Man, please back up the camera." I'm freaking out. And look, you and I, we've seen it all.
Hmm.
It's rare that I get creeped out, and it was a genuinely creepy film altogether. And I love Long Legs. So happy to see it on your list too.
Oh yeah, it was just a pleasant surprise all around.
I'm sad about something missing, but we'll get there.
All right. I'll then go to my number 3, and that is Heretic.
Okay.
I think that you know, Hugh Grant nails the creepiness factor of this movie.
Completely agree.
He, this is not the character you ever expect him to ever have played.
No. Uh-uh. And he didn't bumble around 1 minute like he usually does.
Yeah. Yeah. He was calculating, he was precise, he was intelligent, he was goofy when he needed to be, but the goofiness led to the creepy factor
Yeah.
perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It's from his arguments and theological discussion points. I love taking everything into account, his recounting of history, of trends, of
Mhm.
copycats and everything like that. It was a perfect cat and mouse movie.
I agree with Hugh Grant.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, after I saw it, I'm still hoping, even though, yeah, I'm not sure they will. I would love to see him get a supporting actor nomination. A lead actor, actually.
Hmm.
The way they do things, they would consider him supporting, which is weird, but
Yeah.
that would be great because I think this and The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, are his finest hours as an actor. He was incredible. I really liked him a lot. I agree with you about the film until the final act. I
Mm.
think they just threw in the towel and did what everybody else does. There's, what happens in it is chasing and popping out and I know we need something like that, but I felt just that final act was a bit not clumsy, but I don't know. It just felt all right. Let's do this to me, and but I like the film. Don't get me wrong.
So
Um,
you kind of feel like they pulled back the curtain too much?
I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, I think I know what you're speaking to. I have no problem with that.
Hmm.
That was really cool. But then to just, wrap it all up in I don't know, just another chase through the darkened corridors of a base.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on, you did so, and I'm not gonna. I want you to understand. I fully agree with you on your statement, but for me, it's up until then. But they really, it's edge of your seat, and it's fascinating to watch the one girl figuring things out and
Mhm.
matching him beat for beat, and him starting to realize, oh God, I can't manipulate him as much as I thought. It's I was loving the film, and then uh yeah, the ending just left me cold. The final act left me cold.
Well, which is interesting because I can see that, and I love the theories that are online about it, what the ending actually could mean. Because if you kind of look into that theories without spoiling anything, the ending's not what you think it is.
Hmm.
If you view that point of essentially everything he said is true,
Hmm. Maybe
and,
maybe I'll watch it again. Going.
and this is all, let's say, those fleeting moments of her mind is not what you think it is.
Okay.
So
You know what? I'm gonna give it another go at some point, and I'm gonna go in with that.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I gave it a positive review. I just didn't like the wrap up. But now, or did I?
Because
So
yeah,
yeah.
the theory of it, like I said, it's yeah, go research uh the butterfly,
Okay.
and then look at that and then watch it again, and you'll have to let me know what your thoughts are of that theory, because I think that theory makes it the better movie.
Okay. I will totally do that.
All right, so Anthony, what is your number
My number three, I'm gonna make you well, I'll just say it's next for you anyway.
3?
One of the most, and you'll know what I mean when I say this, pleasant film going experiences I
Yeah.
have had in decades.
Mm-hmm.
The Substance. Oh, I tell you, you know, what's the Shakespeare? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and if we had time, you know, 5 hours later, I'd be like, and number 712, this. I, you know, I love a good body horror film. I love a good dark horror comedy. And I firmly believe this is a dark horror comedy.
Yes.
I love a horror film with social commentary. And I love a horror film with practical effects. And this is everything I just mentioned, and more, if you'll forgive the pun. It, I just, I, it's, it, I think Demi Moore gives the performance of her career. First off, let me
Yes.
say that. And look, I never thought she was Meryl Streep, to be honest, but she really showed me something here. I mean, it's a
She
dark.
showed you everything.
Oh well, yeah, that's right, yeah. Her and Quali showed us everything. Yeah, that's funny. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's darkly comedic. It's brilliant. I mean, the sexualization of women's bodies, the real world horror, if you will, of self hatred and what media does to the way we see ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
questioning our physical worth, misogynistic, culture. Oh my gosh, it's all in this one movie, and it is, excuse me, executed so brilliantly. And I don't use that word lightly, I don't throw that around all the time, but it is really brilliantly executed. Um, I think I firmly believe it's a masterful horror work. I mean, there's visual nods to Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
There's all over nods to Cronenberg. I firmly believe that the Substance, it's unique, it's daring for today's world. It's
Mm-hmm.
daring, and I think it's highly original, and I think it's a great horror film, or it's a great film, but it's also a great cinematic experience for those brave enough to do it. And look, this is I'll argue all day. Oh, come on, give long legs a try and da da da. No, this one isn't for everyone. It really isn't. But for those who can give themselves over, it's an incredible film, an incredible experience, and as you can probably tell, I love it so, so much. I think it's
Yeah.
one of my favorites of the decade.
Yeah, this was Salem's number 1, was The Substance.
Oh, fantastic.
And as she said, it's my number 2, and you're right. If you told me this was made in the '80s by Cronenberg, I would have believed you,
Oh, yeah.
hands down.
Oh, sure.
And you're right. It's definitely Cronenberg-esque. It's satirical. It's gross and where it needs to be gross. I think
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid was the perfect character for
Dennis
his role.
Quaid, yeah, I agree. Nobody's spoken about him. Dennis Quaid is maybe more grotesque than what happens in the finale of that film.
Oh, easily.
It's I was laughing so hard at him. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said Demi Moore just deserves it all. Both of them deserve it because they play their characters so well.
Oh,
It's a dive into sanity. It's a topic of getting old in Hollywood and what we feel people are, especially women in the industry.
right.
And I would also, it's you know, definitely some creature feature effects, which are fantastic.
Oh,
And and let's say I'd say the third act is very Argento-esque. The vibrant colors they use,
yeah,
the shots of it feels like an Argento movie as well.
exactly. If Argento did oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I was up till 4 in the morning. The film from the 80s that we love so much, they're grotesque, they have a party, they're posh. Forget it. I blew it. Never mind.
Yeah,
But no, I didn't think about that. I agree. Yeah, Argento-esque.
yeah. And there's you could also say there's maybe some basket case-esque in there too.
Oh, yeah. That's a I know what you mean. In the design, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's fantastic.
So it is to me, it's a pure love letter to '80s practical effect and directors and writers and just scenes of it, and it's done beautifully to the point where we go, you know what? We don't need CGI.
Exactly. Right. Oh my gosh. No, it
So
is yeah, it was just a I was so happy when I saw that thing.
yeah, and I have questions about a lot of things. Of do they know what each other's doing? What is the purpose?
That's a good point. I don't know if they know what each other's doing.
Because it
Yeah,
seems like they don't.
yeah, you're
And
right.
if it's not that, then why are you doing it? What's the purpose of doing it?
This is true.
So,
It's a good point. I never Oh, great. Now I gotta question this thing.
do I think there should be a substance too? Yes, because there is
Really?
some shadowy corporations that we don't know a lot about.
This is true. Oh, yeah, you're right. And I did like that, though. I like that, there wasn't a big I was worried about some actor doing a cameo in a suit. "Hi, I'm so and so, and I run the corporation," and this
Mhm.
coming out or showing up in a limo or something. But I'm glad they steered clear of that. That made me happy.
Yeah, there's that you could call it Squid Game-esque as well.
Yeah, you could. You definitely could. Um, uh, what did I say in my review of it? Something about I might be misquoting myself. I think I called it something like a Jekyll and Hyde feminist satire.
Mm,
I think that's pretty close, actually. Yeah,
it is.
but it really is. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Jekyll
love
and
it.
Hyde to the nth degree. There. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Another thing you brought up Argento, which got my mind wandering. Not wandering, but um, not in style, but in the way an audience will see this film. Uh, very much like Possession from 1990 and 1981
Mm-hmm.
with Johnny Isabella Johnny.
Yes.
That's like you either roll with that or you don't. And if you do roll with it, you're gonna probably love it. And I think that's the kind of reaction that this film is gonna get or has
Yeah.
gotten. Oh, Society. Bing! It came to me.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
That's what I was trying to say. That finale is very Society as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, if anyone's on the fence, go ahead and watch it. Stick through the end because you will not ever expect the third act to go the way it does.
No. And again, I said this earlier. Guys like you and I, in horror, we have seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
We did not see that coming.
Not in the slightest.
And I wanted to stand up and just cheer. It was great. Very quickly, I was sitting next to two of my buddy critics, and Ashley and Patrick was in between us. And he's he's like a horror aficionado like us. Ashley's she likes some, but it's not her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick and I were like two kids. We kept like nudging each other. Holy shit. And she just kept leaning forward, looking at us like a mother, like, would you guys calm down? What are you getting excited about?
I mean,
I know. Like, come on, are you kidding me? I actually guessed it on Ashley's podcast. She did not like the film, but
really,
yeah, she didn't like
my
it.
wife loved it.
I haven't shown it to my wife yet. I think she's gonna like it. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is body horror that my wife will tolerate.
Yeah,
Saw,
I was
she
gonna say.
can't do. 80s body horror, easily done.
Oh yeah, my wife. I think she appreciates Cronenberg's stuff more than loves it. She's liked a couple of his films, but she's
Mhm.
not a body horror fan. But I think she might roll with this one.
Awesome.
I don't know. I'll see. I hope so.
All right, Anthony. So what is your number one horror movie of 2024?
My number one, I saw your list and I said, wait, where's you misspelled it's not, I don't see it anywhere. My number one horror film of the year is Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
I have a laundry list of reasons why, but very quickly, my number one is, even though I'm a fan of Robert Eggers, when this was announced, I said, "What are you wasting your time doing this? Are you kidding me?" I mean, you don't remake Nosferatu, you just do another version. It's already been done a second time, and it
Mm-hmm.
was done brilliantly. I think. I think Herzog's is amazing. And come on, you've shown us in 3 movies that you can do so many different things. Do something else. Do horror, that's fine. Do something else. And I you had me at hello on this one. That opening sequence is just phenomenal. You did see it, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I asked you that. You did see horror this year, right?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
I I thought he made it. He, uh, ah, I could this could be a show for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he tweaked it just enough without, oh come on, why did you have to do that? And keeping the essence of Nosferatu slash the Dracula story alive.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was much like The Witch. Just from that opening moment to the finale. A lot of horror films give you levity, or a reprieve, if only for a couple of scenes. This does not. This is an inescapable, from the moment it starts, an inescapable waking nightmare of pure horror, I think. And he keeps it artful. It's like a darkly, oh, it's dark, of course, but it's a sexual tragedy. It's macabre.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way he shoots it, the production design, the cinematography is, for me, jaw dropping. It's very he doesn't go big, he doesn't go Coppola on this thing. He keeps it intimate. The terror is intimate, the emotions are intimate, and it's all very tightly contained, I feel. I think I said this about the film earlier. This is an immersive cinematic experience. Um, I found it just a great, masterfully done, masterfully cast. I thought Lily Rose Depp was fantastic, and she's never impressed me. Uh, I really think it's a modern horror classic for me. I know
Mhm.
that people are 50-50 on this, and I know you're waiting. But but I really did. I had faith because it was Eggers.
Mhm.
But I still thought, "How dare you?" And, again, there were 3 press screenings, I went to 2 of them, and I've seen it twice since then, and my son and I wanna go one last time before it leaves, to get the cinematic experience. Yeah, I just think it's a fantastic film, and I will say that when I made my best, horror of the year, it was Fighting with Long Legs for my number 1. So,
Ah.
yeah, and I think it's an incredible film. I really do. I keep using that word, but it really is.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, so that was our last episode of 2024 as we did the original, we did Shadow of the Vampire, and then we saw Nosferatu.
I need to get to that. I want to see that.
Yeah. So, um, what we like I said, we were waiting to do our top 5 and bottom 5 until Nosferatu came out, quite honestly. But
Right.
it's on Salem's top 5 list. Yeah, I was heavily, heavily debating it on mine.
Oh, that's
Um, it's you can spoil all you want. It's a 102-year-old plot. It's the same
yeah, that's
plot,
true.
you know.
Spoiler alert,
Um,
vampire here.
yeah, yeah. So it's a fantastic movie. I love everything Eggers has done,
Yeah,
and he didn't overstay his welcome. He didn't do anything wrong with the movie, and he expanded the lore in a way that worked really, really well.
exactly.
Um, what I think hurt me, there's 2 things that hurt me with this movie. One is I watched the original, then Shadow of the Vampire, and then saw this
Yeah.
within the day.
Oh, all right.
And when William Dafoe comes into the movie, in the original, there's like 5 minutes left of the movie when that doctor comes into play.
Right, right.
And you go, and this is probably just the way I watched it was, oh, you go, oh, the movie's almost done. Then it continues for another 35 minutes.
Yeah,
So it seemed long. I mean, yes, it was longer, but I think that's just the way I watched it. And I'm not really counting it against it, but it just seemed long in the tooth at that point in time because we are so used to the original that you go, oh, it's almost done. And he goes, no, there's this whole third act that still has to happen.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I can see that
Yeah.
because I don't even think the original is it even 90 minutes or it's right at it maybe?
It's hour 32.
Yeah, packs a
Now,
lot.
granted 20 minutes of that's reading, but
Right, exactly.
um and you talk about, Lily Rose Depp, and she did a good job. Uh Honestly, to me, this is nothing against her. She was the weakest actor there because let's face it, she went up against really strong actors in this movie.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
And I'm not saying she did a bad job. It's just everyone else was like master class
I
as
agree,
well.
I agree. Very quickly, I guested on another podcast, and we talked about Nosferatu, and there were 2 people on the cast with me, and they we were breaking the movie down. Hey, what was your best performance? What was your weakest performance? And they both said Nicholas Holt. And I almost shut my computer. Like, what? I'm out of here. I
What?
thought Holt was fantastic.
Uh Better than any X-Men he's ever done for sure.
Well, yeah.
To me it was up there with The Menu and him as the war boy in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. I like him. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you on the X-Men business, but I I like him a lot, and I thought he was fantastic in that. Yeah.
He was the best of, essentially Keanu Reeves' character,
Yeah. Right.
from,
Exactly.
as that guy. But like I said, everyone just did a masterclass of it. I think that Skarsgård he was lost in that character, and you didn't know it was him.
I
He
was actively trying to see him, and I couldn't. Yeah.
Correct. His breathing that he was doing, that he took opera lessons to be able to do,
Yeah.
was just astounding. I think everyone did a fantastic job, and it did not overstay its welcome. I think it held true to the original story, and honestly, probably now the best Dracula movie we ever had.
Yeah, I might agree with that, except I'm a big, you said the best Dracula movie that we've ever had?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm a big fan of Frank Langella's from 1979. Have you seen that one, of
Yeah.
course?
Yeah.
I like the gothiness of that, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think you might be right. This could be the best.
And it shows that, we had Nicholas Cole as Renfield in another movie about Dracula a couple years ago.
Exactly.
But this shows that you can have a gothic, atmospheric feel and be terrifying still
Yeah. Yeah.
for a 102-year-old story.
Yeah, that everybody knows the beginning, middle, and end of. Yeah.
Mhm,
Um, Very quickly, I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was good too, but
mhm.
it's funny, he is British. That was his voice. He was making it a little more posh, but
Yes.
he has the type of British voice that sounds like somebody's trying to do a British voice and they're not British. It's weird. That's the way I feel about Keanu Reeves. His regular voice sounds like somebody trying to be like a little tougher. But no, that's just how he speaks. It's
Yeah,
weird.
he's a tough guy surfer.
Yeah, exactly, right. Rah. Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. The whole cast, and some people are having problems with Defoe. He's way over the top. He's not way over the top. He's just the right for me.
Yes.
Just the right bit of oomph to everybody's melancholy.
Well, it's 1838, and he's doing pseudoscience as a doctor. I mean, that's what you
Yeah,
expect.
right. I love it. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad you liked it. You scared me there for a minute.
Yeah, oh, no, yeah, it's like it was on my honorable mentions. Like I said, I was debating it, but, and I'll have to go into my number 1 here is a lot of people don't necessarily agree, and Salem, who is a huge Alien fan, this was his number 2,
Mm.
and that's Alien Romulus. Now, are there callbacks unnecessarily in this movie to other parts of the franchise? Yes,
Mhm.
there are. Lines are there that don't need to be there. However, this is a highly debatable topic here. Is To me, this is the second best Alien movie made.
Interesting.
Number 1 is Alien. This is number 2, followed by Aliens.
Okay.
Because I think Aliens is more action heavy than horror. And to me, this is what we needed since Aliens, or original Alien. This is a return to form of the horror genre for this franchise.
Agree.
Alien 3 is okay. Resurrection's awful. I severely hated, you know, Prometheus. I think Alien Covenant was not good. And
Mm.
to me, this was a return to form for the Alien franchise. I think Fede Alvarez took this franchise and showed what he could do with it, just like he did with Evil Dead. And I think we now can see what he can do with the next Alien movie. Now that he played it safe and did the studio way of it, he can tell a different story and go even further with the franchise, I hope.
Right. I agree with you, by the way. This made it would be number 6
Okay.
on my new list because I forgot in a violent nature in my published one. But I agree with you on everything except your ranking of the Alien films. But this is my 4th favorite.
That's your
It,
fourth favorite.
yeah, Alien, Aliens, and my controversial number 3, Alien Covenant, and then this.
Mm.
Yeah, I know that's what everybody said. They're like, "Wait, what did you say for 3 again?" I don't think I heard you right. Because we rewatch. Well, we do it every couple of years, but we did
Mhm.
the rewatched all of them before we saw this one. And yeah, I love it to death. But anyway, yeah, this is my number 6. It's a wonderful film for every reason you said, and I was worried that we were gonna get dead teenagers in space with xenomorphs, and we didn't. I was scared by the trailer. Like,
Yes.
"Wait, are they teens? What's going on here?" And I love the setup. I love all of that. I agree about the callbacks, especially the big callback. It they should have shortened that. It
Yes.
went on a long time.
Mhm.
And then it lost its zoom. It lost its oomph, you know.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's a excuse me. I had to miss my press screening because we were on vacation. But while we were on vacation, we went on opening day for a showing, uh, and yeah, I was blown away. By the way, I think it's my son's second favorite Alien, so he's with you.
Okay.
And I agree about Aliens very quickly. I love Aliens, of course. I do think it's an action masterpiece, and that's how you do a sequel. You make it your own,
Mhm.
while keeping everything that we love about the original. And I remember in one of my Facebook groups, I posted a few years ago my favorite horror sequels, and I got million messages. Aliens. What about Aliens? What about Aliens? Not a horror film, really. You know,
No.
I mean, you could argue, yes, it's a monster movie, but it's action. So I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But no,
obviously, our show's based off a line from the movie, but
I know, I love it. When I told my wife the first time I guessed it, she, my son and I are just staring at her, waiting to get it. And then we said it again, and then we said it a third time as Newt says it,
Mhm.
and she's like, "I got it." I'm like, "Yeah, there you go." No, I'm happy to see this because for some reason it did well, but I'm not hearing a lot about it since it left the theater. And I think reviews were mixed. I really love this movie. I had a blast,
Yeah.
and that's how you do it. And the scene, this this is not a spoiler because there's one of these in every Alien movie. The
Mhm.
scene where they have to go through a room or go through somewhere and they have to be very quiet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The lab, I think it was. Yeah, that is just classic Alien vibe.
Mhm.
And I love that Alvarez did he did or kept the look, went back to the purity of it. Yeah, I had a blast. I was so happy because I was so scared.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah.
Like, man, don't blow it. And very quickly, Resurrection. Yes, I know it's a bad movie, but man, do I have fun with it. It is not. Don't worry, it's not, one of my favorites. But for me, if I look at it as okay, this is a mad scientist B-50s horror film with aliens. I
Yeah.
I can vibe with it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it did kill the franchise for a while.
It really did. And another show or another time, I'm interested to hear why you hate Prometheus. But no,
Uh,
Alien Romulus,
yeah.
fantastic horror film. And he officially doing the next one?
There's talks about it. There's also talks of him potentially helming the Alien versus Predator new movie that's coming.
I mean, that's fine if you feel you need to do that.
Oh, maybe he can do it right.
Yeah, maybe because it's wrong so far.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. Like you said, he did a fine job with the Evil Dead. I mean, when I want to see Evil Dead, I'll just get Raimi's, but he did a
Yeah.
fantastic job, I think.
Yeah, it shows that he actually has a passion for the franchises.
Exactly. And he not only does he have a passion, he has a respect
Mhm.
for the way. these things are done and what makes them so special to the fans.
Yeah.
And he latches onto that and he doesn't try to change it. And I
Yeah,
love
because he's a fan that got the budget to do his own movie.
it. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I'm yeah. You know what? Now we're talking about it. Should it be higher? It's too late. Right now it's 6. I
There you
don't know
go.
what I could bump off of there. So
Yeah, that's the problem with 5s is it's, hard to make the list
I
sometimes.
know, yeah.
Alright, well, let's get into the what we consider the worst of in our opinions,
Do we have
right?
to?
We we do, I have to revisit these in my head, so
All right.
alright, so, Anthony, what's your number 5 for the bottom 5 of 2024?
My number 5 is Watchers.
Mm,
Uh, I went to that press screening not excited, but I think Fanning is a good actress.
mhm,
Um, forgive me. I think the Shyamalan family is talented. Um, there are some big potholes in M's career,
yep,
but I liked the beginning of it. I'm like, okay, cool, we're gonna get this. And like many people complain about for M. Night Shyamalan's films, he just starts blowing it immediately,
mhm,
after a good premise. And that's what I felt about this one. That after the setup, it just starts, it's just a freight train to hell for me. And I don't mean in terms of the movie, I mean the hell of bad filmmaking. It just tanks immediately and things are are brought up and then just shoved to the side and then moments where I think she was studied her father's signs and sixth sense and she was really trying to get those quiet mellow monotone creepy moments
mhm.
and they just didn't work and everything fell flat. And then again, another final act that just oh, I mean, I was already not liking it, and it just made me hate it. Where that movie goes and where it ends up, and I
Yeah,
just thought it was absolutely terrible.
yeah, I
Terrible.
mean, it is quite predictable, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's no surprises there.
No, no.
There's no
Um,
big Sixth Sense reveal.
there is one, but we all saw it
Well,
coming.
yeah, yeah, we saw it coming, so
That's the twist, like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, I mean, this was on my honorable mentions, dishonorable mentions.
nice one, yeah.
It I agree, it's like, his daughter takes, like, the two-sentence elevator pitch, has a great idea, but then doesn't know how to pad it to get to that twist.
Exactly. You are
Uh, yeah, it's and then we go, like, I don't wanna spoil what the lore is in the real world. I know a lot about those creatures and the lore, and it doesn't really follow it and doesn't do anything new or exciting to that belief system in that country for those creatures. I don't want to give away what they are.
right.
Uh, it
Okay,
just
good, yeah. I'm happy
it
to hear it.
misses the mark because it's you can understand and appreciate the lore and the folklore or something, but they just kind of ruined it.
Yeah. You can't just take the folklore and
Right.
then do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Watchers was definitely a contender for my list.
Very quickly, what almost made my number 5
hmm
was, the Halle Berry horror film.
Don't
Uh,
let go.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it actually had me interested for at least 45 minutes before it went south. This one had me interested 15-ish minutes, 20 minutes in
hmm
before it started going south.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the opening scene's good.
Yeah. Well, I like the opening, I like the setup, I like, when she gets there,
hmm
and then actually, it's about I think I'm right, it's about 20 minutes. The whole opening setup is great, when the drive there is great, when she gets there is great, and then when things start happening and she has to get into that cabin or whatever it is. Once she gets inside, that's it.
Yep.
Door slammed on the movie for me.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my number 5 is insert haunted object here, tarot. PG-13 horror can be good. This case, in my opinion, it's not. And it's such I think a generic horror movie. Like it's a haunted tarot card deck.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
premise.
I was gonna say, and that's not much more than that. Yeah.
No, there's scenes in there and there's plot points in there that you're just going, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the elevator part and the answer to the elevator part.
Ah, yes.
And it's just it's insert spooky cursed object here movie.
Yeah. And totally flat in the
Yeah.
filmmaking and everything. Everything's just boring,
Mm-hmm.
I thought.
Yeah. So it's a shame. I had high hopes for it, but I watched it and just go, this is so generic. I'm going to forget it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I can't really add much more to that because there's not much more to talk about in this thing. I didn't have high hopes, but I was, as a horror fan, I was excited to see it,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because, well, I love that kind of stuff, but the poster was fun. The one sheet was phenomenal because movie posters now are boring
Yep.
and crappy, and that looked like a poster out of the 70s or the 80s, and they really did a great design on it. I urge everyone listening to look up the poster and don't watch the movie.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, and I just it was we didn't there was no, and that's when you know something's wrong. The studio didn't have a press screening, so they didn't want anybody to see it. And it was just like you said, it's just DOA from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's really
Yeah. I'm hoping there's not a tarot too. I don't think there will be. But
no. I don't. I think it made $1.75 or something at the bottom.
yeah.
Nobody went to see, it. And the studio didn't get behind it really.
Mm-hmm.
There was, about a week of promotion and then done. And no, it didn't do well. Surely there won't be a sequel.
Who knows? Horror movies get made sequels all the time. That
I
ego.
know it. Yeah.
You never know.
It's,
All right. So Anthony, what's your number 4?
well, we're twins on this one. Night Swim.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first press screening of the year in 2024.
Oh.
It's my first one of the year. It's horror. We could bring a guest. I took my son. We're all excited. We got our popcorn. And man, is this a bad movie. It
Mm-hmm.
is just a bad movie. And it breaks my heart because I'm becoming a big fan of Wyatt Russell. And it's like you said about tarot, it's another haunted thing.
Yep.
And it's a pool.
Spooky.
Yeah. Ooh. Um the best scene, and it's not really a good scene, but the best scene in the film was the one they used for the trailer,
Yes.
where the daughter and her boyfriend are in the
Mm-hmm.
pool playing Marco Polo.
Yep.
For that movie, it's effective and it works ish until the final moment of it. But yeah, it's dumb. I'm sorry. I've seen some horror that people say, "How can you like that? That is so dumb." But this is dumb, and I'll defend it. But this Night Swim is just a dumb movie. It's dumb how the family discovers things. It's dumb that they don't do things about it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I won't spoil it. That another final act, and this is the problem with Hollywood horror. You got to get the big, everything's loud and flashy and like an action film, and what Wyatt Russell does at the end is that's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they go for, in a way, to make him do that, they were going for kind of a It Follows thing, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And and so Wyatt Russell does this thing that he kind of didn't have to do, but I didn't care because, yeah, it's just all dumb. There's no creepiness. The house isn't creepy. How do you make a pool creepy? Well, I think Toby Hooper did that in Poltergeist, but you can't make a pool creepy. Hence, Night Swim is just an awful horror film, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's, as you said, my number 4 as well. It needed to stay a short film. Did not
Right.
need the full feature length treatment. As a short film, sure. As a creepy pasta, as a Crypt TV, perfect. A
Perfect.
15-minute thing, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The only interesting part of the movie that they didn't talk about really in the slightest of is let's call it the hot spring that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's call it that.
um like the background of that
Oh,
would have been interesting. I was more intrigued with that. They could have gone, why is it that way? Was it someone's, ancient lore or sacred place or something to it?
right.
Um, that would have been a far more interesting movie.
Oh, you are a gazillion times correct. Yeah. It's just, and I'm glad you said interesting.
Mhm.
Look, sometimes you can make a so-so script interesting by a visual style or whatever, and not just in horror, in anything. But yeah, uh, just there's nothing to visually stimulate you. There's no interest. Oh, I like the way he shot that moment, or whatever. I mean, the performances are okay, I guess. Yeah, but he does not make it interesting, and there's not enough oomph in it. Again, haunted pool. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You're right. 15 minutes would have been a masterpiece,
Yeah.
and it is not 15 minutes. Ergo, here it is.
Yep. Yeah, it's just that's the only thing I can see them ever doing in the future is a prequel talking about the origin.
Well, I'd be there for that,
Yeah,
like you said. Yeah, but not different director and screenwriters, please.
and make it R, please, so we can
And
have more
yes,
than just spooky ghosts.
right, exactly. Like I just mentioned a minute ago, Poltergeist.
Mhm.
Everybody says, well, that because I say I'm with you, and I say that all the time. PG 13 horror, meh.
Yeah.
Everybody, what about Poltergeist? It was PG. Yeah, it was 1982 PG. That'd probably be R right now. I don't think it deserves an R rating,
No.
but yeah, but that's today's R. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, they said,
yeah,
spooky pool, not needed.
yeah. Spooky Pool and White Russell. Sorry,
Yep,
not having it.
yep. Alright, Anthony, so what's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is uh another version of my favorite Stephen King work. Salem's Lot.
Mhm.
Everybody, I think, in the horror community pretty much likes or loves Toby Hooper's, and I even rewatched it after I saw this one. Excuse me. And it's still great. I don't care. Oh, it's so dated. Yes, it is. Who cares? I love it. Yeah, Salem's Lot is a perfect example of the remake of taking material and sucking the life out of it. Forgive the vampire. Just sucking the life, draining the life completely out of this thing.
Mhm.
It is. I mean, talk about flatline. There is not a moment nor a character that to latch onto. Some of the story's most iconic moments, the kid at the window, just don't play the main vampire. It's embarrassing. Uh, and I hate the way it's shot. It's too dark. That's weird to say for a horror film, but it's too dark. It's dim, and that goes to the vibe of the film too. I hated this thing, and I knew we were in trouble when they announced the remake, and then they announced it was done filming, and then it got pushed up a couple of years or a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
That's never a good sign. But I'm thinking, okay, post pandemic, plus we had an actor strike followed by a writer strike, so okay, nope, I was right. My Go with your first thought. It was absolutely terrible. And it was, for me, soul crushing. Not that I expected that it was going to be amazing, but like I said, it's my favorite King story. And I just can't believe they dropped the ball. And now I always wanted John Carpenter to do a remake of it back in the day. And
Ooh.
now who knows if we're ever going to get a remake because nobody cared about this. And it was supposed to get theatrical. Then it premiered on Max and nobody cared about it then either.
Mm-hmm.
I really think there's a masterpiece in there for the right filmmaker. I don't know who's ever going to do it or if it's ever going to get greenlit again, but this was just completely awful. And I heard that a lot of it got cut and edited and down to the hour and 40 whatever version that exists. I don't think a longer film would have helped because I think the casting is all wrong for
Mm-hmm.
every single part in the film. I mean, that nothing. I just hated this film. I'm sorry. It's awful. I'm
Yeah.
not sorry. It's a terrible film.
Yeah. It's on my dishonorable mentions for sure.
Yeah.
I think the story is the Stephen King story is so much better.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna say angry after I watched this, but I was kind of angry after I watched this because there's character deaths in the books are much more impactful in the book
Oh my God. You are so true.
than what we got in the movie. I'm talking about the one character in particular that in the book has a heart attack
Yeah. Right.
as opposed to what happened in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ben Myers, Pullman was not good as Ben Myers. He wasn't
And I
believable.
like him. He's a good actor.
Mhm.
He just seemed lost in the role.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do.
And, you know, uh, I'm watching it and rewatching it and thinking about it. If Castle Rock had continued as a TV show, we
Mm,
already got hints to Ben Myers and to the house and to the vampires of it all.
right.
Uh, that this story would have been perfect for season 3 of Castle Rock
I fully agree.
or Mike Flanagan as a
Ah,
TV show.
yeah, exactly. As a Netflix miniseries. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Flanagan, you break my heart. Why didn't they go to him first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guy knows how to do it.
Yeah. And this is the story is the 1979 Toby Hooper is fantastic, but this is not an hour and a half story.
No, it's not at all.
No.
Um,
And there's so much character development and growth, and it ties into the bigger world of Derry, Maine, and all that stuff. And it needed to be done well, and this was just kind of unfortunately another I won't say a dollar a baby story, but not everything can get remade well. I mean, we had Pet Cemetery, which was awful. We
oh,
had Firestarter, which was awful. And we're back into that trend of Stephen King stories that just cannot get made well for some
exactly.
reason.
And they blew Firestarter twice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, with the original, I love the Tangerine Dream score, but that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're right because there was it started with people making great. Started with Carrie, people making great or very good King adaptations for about 10 years, and then it spiraled into that everyone was horrible except for the rare one or two over 20 years, maybe
Hmm.
15, and then we got a few decent ones, and now you're right, we're back into it. Nobody knows how to adapt this guy. And if you're a fan, like we spoke of earlier with Alvarez, you know, you should know how to do it if you're a fan.
Yep.
I wouldn't gather, I don't know, I didn't read, and I never will because I don't care. I would gather the director of this film wasn't, a huge fan of the material because the filmmaking seems so distant from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. Yeah, it's just terrible. Oh,
Yeah. But talking about, terrible things and stories not being told right and public domain stuff is the mousetrap, right?
uh-huh.
Now don't get me wrong, I love cheesy, stupid movies to
Oh,
no
me too.
end.
Me too.
And when I heard this was announced, I go, "Okay, this seems interesting." It's interesting to see what they go with it being the first ones to do it. There's the game that came out with it, and the whole idea of public domain stuff really coming to light.
Right.
Now, this is this a low budget movie that I could see my production team doing? Probably. Do I think we could have done it better? Yes. Um, it's it's a convoluted way to get Mickey into the movie. It makes zero sense to how this came to be. The fact that somehow powers come into play halfway through the movie that makes zero sense.
Yeah,
It's I don't spoil too much, but like I said, I love cheesy movies. Like I said, I love Blood and Honey. This was
I
like,
did too.
this was worse than Pinocchio's Revenge from the 90s, in my opinion.
Wow, that's I think you're right.
And trust me, I kind of like Pinocchio's Revenge. I really like Jack Frost, but this is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could have done differently, but it became such a generic slasher
Mhm.
that really didn't tie into what we expected the public domain figure to be.
Right. Um, I have nothing to add. You are 100% correct. The only thing I will say is I didn't like Pinocchio's Revenge, but I almost love Jack Frost, by the way.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I just watched it recently over the holidays.
Yeah.
Um, uh, my son does not like Jack Frost.
Oh.
No, I'm like, "Come on, man." Um, but, I mean, come on. It's just so you said it, generic.
Mhm.
There's nothing. There's no zip to it. There's no fire, Uh, it's just a run, chase, "Oh, look who the killer is this time."
Yep.
And there's nothing to it. You are correct.
So I'm hoping that people are not getting the wrong message from this and that they try to do better.
Yeah, please do because there's a cool little story there.
Mhm.
And I like the title. I thought the title was great.
Oh, yeah. After
But
they got sued and couldn't do, Mickey's Mousetrap.
Mickey's Mousetrap. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, all right. So then what is your number 2?
Man, we're almost there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I debated about my number 2.
Mhm.
I almost had one coming up here as my number 2. Um, Afraid.
Huh.
That's what I landed on.
Okay.
Um, just, I mean, a good idea. I mean, it might be overused at this point. AI, taking
Mhm.
us over, but really taking us over. And it had a decent beginning, and I don't know what it is. I'm a big fan of John Cho. I really am. I like him. He's got a natural screen presence. He doesn't have range. I don't want to see him do Richard the Third or anything, but he's fun to watch. I enjoy the guy and the great Keith Carradine's in it, and Catherine Watterson from Sam Watterson's daughter
Mhm.
from that wonderful Alien movie, Alien Covenant. She, so good cast, and Chris Weitz did it. He's decent. It blows it immediately. I mean, and not just what I spoke about earlier with The Watchers, really good, and then it just goes into no, this is I like this cast, nice little plot, and just immediately it's dumb. It's dumb. Character actions are dumb. The way what they react to, or I mean, how they react to something is dumb. Uh, certain things could have been handled right, and I know we shouldn't say this because then there'd be no movie, but certain things could have been handled right away, to remove certain things from certain situations.
Yep.
Uh, and the way the AI takes over is silly. And at one point, the main family kind of throws in the towel, and there's like, all right then, and and there's so many red flags, and it goes beyond the whole in horror movies when you hear a noise, you go to where the noise is. You don't walk away from it. It goes beyond that kind of silliness. That's a silliness that we've come to accept and come to love
Mm-hmm.
in horror films. Just things the I mean, not a spoiler on this one, but the daughter gets really attached, um, and it starts messing with people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
and dictating how they do things, and it just every little thing that was supposed to make the audience gasp just made me roll my eyes and get angry, and I found this is one of those films like Salem's Lot. I got angrier and angrier as the film went on. That's why it's so high, because it has a good production design and and again the cast, but it's just it suffers from a preposterousness that it sets up early and just keeps doing. And then the another finale, that stupid the way they end this thing, I just made me wanna rip my own face off and put it in a bowl of salt. I really, really hated Afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could tell. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. This is something I didn't watch. I watched most of it because I didn't want to watch this movie. The best way I can describe Afraid is a fan fiction version of a Black Mirror episode
There you go.
mixed with Dan Brown's book Origin,
Ugh,
which Origin I think was a phenomenal Dan Brown book.
I didn't read that one.
It's AI, and it kind of follows the same plot points.
Oh, alright.
Um, it's insulting. It's trying to be essentially a play on Meta by Facebook,
Sure.
mixed with like the Jeff Bezos of it all,
Yeah.
with cults and
Yeah, exactly. They're throwing in everything.
yeah, and it's yes, AI is the big talking point. AI is a huge thing. This is an AI story that almost felt like it's written by AI. That's just not there yet.
There you go. Exactly.
I mean,
Chat
for all we know, is it was. It could have been, which would have been an interesting twist
Yeah, right.
in the real world.
Life imitates art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just and I'm not sure that I mean, different version here, but we have movies like Megan and,
Hmm.
something else coming up, I see. Um,
Yes.
and I think in this age of everything is tech and AI, everything.
Hmm.
It's hard to make an effective horror film about it. I'm not sure that you can. This certainly isn't it.
No.
Megan certainly wasn't it. I wasn't on that bandwagon.
No.
But yeah, I'm not sure that there is an effective way to do it.
I,
Well,
I,
yeah,
like I said, I think Black Mirror as a cautionary tale.
yeah. There you go. And to a certain extent, even though it's a different era, Y2K was kind of fun. But
Yeah, it was. It
no,
was an interesting movie.
yeah, for a while.
Yeah, for a while. Yes. Yeah, but I agree. I'm afraid of what AI movies will be.
Oh man, if there anything, I'm glad this didn't do well. Then there's, maybe they won't rush another one like it anytime soon.
Well, I have high hopes for a companion, so
Oh yeah,
which seems to be maybe an AI story done well.
I hope so. I really hope so.
So, all right.
Yes,
Well,
I like the actress.
yes, yeah. My number two, if anyone that watches or listens to our show, it's The First Omen. What can you say other than an unnecessary prequel with uh 5 minutes at the end of unexpected shenanigery that just makes zero sense because you go, oh, is this her? Is not her? And then boom, magic baby bump. And yeah, it was a prequel that wasn't necessary. I mean, let's face it, The Omen isn't the best franchise to begin with.
Thank you, sir.
Let's face it, number four, was a made for TV movie, it feels like.
I think it was, wasn't it?
There was cussing and nudity, so I don't think so. It
Oh,
almost felt like it. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
I think it was made for Showtime or
Yeah.
something.
But The First Omen was just, there was another movie that came out about the same time that was a better version of it, and it's called Immaculate.
I fully agree.
So just skip The First Omen and watch Immaculate, which is a better story, better acting. Like I said, I love the main actress from First Omen because I loved her in Servant.
Ah, yes, that's great.
But in this movie, it's the fear of God that just completely misses.
Um, okay, really quick, I fully agree with you about Immaculate. I loved it. That was actually number 7 on my best horror of the year. Can I tell you what was number 9?
Sure.
The First Omen.
Really?
And while I strangely agree with everything you said, I think I went into it, it was another one of those press screenings where I went in and I sat down like a annoyed kid. I'm like, "Ugh, okay, get it over with," you know? Because this is contention in my house. One of my wife's favorite horror films is The Omen, the
Oh.
first 2, actually. And, I they're harmless, but they don't do anything for me. I think they're kind of boring. You know what I love about the Omen films? The great Jerry Goldsmith scores. They're wonderful. They're some of the best he ever wrote.
Hmm.
Uh, the movies are, it's okay, fine. I saw it. Meh. She makes me reevaluate the first one about once a decade, So it's coming up, I think, because I haven't done it in so long. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. So yeah, I didn't want to see this thing. And man, I was digging it.
Hmm.
I really was. I fully hey, the problems, I'm not gonna try to deny them. They're there. But I thought the direction had a nice old school 70s to it. Um, I like the feel. I love I mean, not any, but I love it when a horror film is set in a foreign country with religious figures and I thought it worked for me. There's some really dumb stuff in it, but I think I kinda talked myself around that with the rest of the stuff I liked, and I agree about the ending, yeah, yeah. But, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot and, more than I ever thought I would. But I always ask myself, if I loved the Omen franchise,
Hmm.
would I have liked this film so much? I don't know. I don't have an answer. Um, but that said, it is on my list, but Immaculate is too higher.
Yeah.
Immaculate's a pretty fantastic film and shorter,
Yeah.
and it does everything the first Omen does
Yep.
without. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, we did a rewatch of the franchise before seeing First Omen because that was our way to get into it and just like I said, that's probably our problems when we do this stuff is we watch the first 7 or in this case 5
yeah.
before it, and it's okay, but yeah, it's just I felt like an unnecessary
Oh,
prequel, and I said Immaculate was a better version. So
I agree, and I totally get it. Very quickly, last thing on this, you know, if you tell me, "Hey, I think On the Waterfront is garbage. I think Godfather is garbage. I think, you know, whatever, Casablanca is garbage." I'm gonna buy you dinner. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna talk, and I'm gonna try to tell you why these are great films. If you say you don't like The First Omen, I can't argue with you. You know what I mean? That's not something I can. Hey, now wait a minute, fella. No, I get it, but for me, and literally out of left field, I liked it a lot. I don't love it. It's not perfect, but I liked it a lot, and I surprised.
and that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So then, Anthony, what is in your opinion, the worst horror movie of 2024?
It broke my heart. The worst horror movie of 2024 is Fear of the Living Dead.
Ooh,
Did you see it?
I did not.
Yeah. Let me tell you why it broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, what did I say? Fear? I am so sorry. Festival of the Living
Festival.
Dead.
Ah.
I apologize, folks. See, I didn't want it to be. It broke my heart because it's directed by two of my faves, and I met them, I interviewed them, and they're awesome. The Soska sisters, Jen and Sylvia Soska. I'm a fan of their work. They did one of the best body horror films in, American Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I thought their reimagining, this is the one I interviewed them for, of Cronenberg's Rabid worked extremely well. I like their first little cheapy dead hooker in a trunk. I like their work. They're interesting. Festival of the Dead. I was so excited to see it. I talked with them and they put me in touch with the distributor. Um, and then the distributors wouldn't get back to me. And then it just ended up on Tubi. That's where it premiered. It is so heartbreakingly awful. There is no creativity to it. It is just not only is it just another by the books, the dead are coming back to life and chasing people. It is one of the worst zombie films ever made. And I hate to say that. And I hope they don't listen to this podcast because I don't think I'll ever get another interview. And they loved me so much and they liked my questions. Um, excuse me. It is just, I am sorry. It is, see, I get choked up thinking about it. It is sloppy filmmaking. It is, it looks cheap, but in a not cool way. And it is void of any originality, void of any fun. The effects are bad. There's practical and a little CGI. Nothing blends perfectly. I just think it's a dumb, just badly made, badly executed movie, and it from uh two filmmakers that I admire, and I've liked everything they've done, I think. Yeah, it's awful. It is really awful, and I'm sad that it's my number one of the year, and I mean that. It's one of the worst zombie films I've ever seen in my life. It's a bunch of teenagers partying at a festival.
Mm-hmm.
Zombie. That's it. That's it. There's nothing to say, but there's this one part where no, what I just said, what flashed into your mind when I said it, is exactly it. Only badly done, badly edited. It was a miserable film watching experience. Miserable.
Yeah, now I have to watch it.
You do. I would love to see what you number one, support the Soskas even when they fail, but
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what you think of this thing. I was crushed. I was so excited. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, come on, you gotta watch it with me. It's the Soskas. She's like, oh, they love you. I'm like, I know. They're gonna hate me. They're not gonna talk to me ever again. Uh, yeah, I hate it. I feel horrible.
Yeah.
It's just I hate to say that. I don't use this word often unless I'm talking about something I saw Rob Schneider in, which I don't do. But garbage. It's garbage. It's that bad. I couldn't believe it.
And that's a shame. It really
Mm,
is because, you know, it's I'm pretty sure we have the Living Dead franchises and everything with it on our list to do at some point in time in 2025. So I'm pretty sure this is on there, but I'll definitely have to check it out if not before then, because that's not going to like August, I think.
yeah.
So
And I love supporting, women filmmakers and
mhm,
I just sorry,
yeah,
hey, I supported on the substance.
exactly,
But yeah.
yeah. So I'll watch it. I'll let you know.
All right.
Um,
Let me know as soon as you
yeah,
do. I want to hear from you.
yeah. So my number one is the quote horror version of If. It's it's it is imaginary. Uh Surprisingly, what I think I have 3 PG-13 horror movies
Yeah,
on
that
my
says
list.
something about PG-13 horror movies.
Yeah. Imaginary is I don't know, there's the logic leaps, this that you have to do to make this movie work is insane to me. It's that your suspension of disbelief is never ever there. And like I said, without spoiling too much, we did an entire episode of this. If you want to see in the spoiler-filled review of it, we did like almost, it was almost a year ago at this point. That to me, for it be coming out earlier the 2024, for it to still be in my mind as being that bad is a testament to how bad I feel the movie is.
That's how I felt about Night Swim, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the CB of it all. If you think you know the plot twist, you're correct. It's
Exact right.
yeah, it's you go, oh, you find out what CB and you go, yeah, that's the twist. Was I thought that was a given. Um, it's the dad of it all, the leaving of the family with the new stepmom and all that stuff that came from it. The old lady, it's all formulaic,
Oh, to
and
the
it's
nth degree, yeah.
yeah, it's just I don't know. Maybe if this was once again a short film, sure. Feature
Maybe
length,
one.
unnecessary. And it made me laugh how stupid it was, but
Hmm.
let's say for the ritual that has to do, and you get, oh man, sick burn, bro. I'm like, that is stupid.
Uh,
that I'm like, I
beyond
can't.
reproach, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like that. That's really what they needed. That is absurd.
Yeah. Um,
um, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I
What?
agree with you. I mean, I don't know why it's not my number one. I think for me, this particular one was low-hanging fruit.
hmm
So, and I always do that with my worst of the year of anything. Yeah, I could pull, like I said, whatever Schneider movie he threatened us with, or
Yeah.
just movies that, of course, they're bad. But I go for things that should have worked but didn't, and didn't on bad levels. So that's why I think it missed my list. Yeah, it's everything you said. I mean, yeah, it's an it's another one where it's void of ideas. There's just, like you said, the sick burn, bro. That was perfect. Um, yeah, really, and no surprises, and just dumb. I saw the ads for it. They tried a promotional campaign,
hmm
and I asked one of the reps after a screening. I said, "Hey, are we going to get the press screening invite soon? Because this opens in a few weeks." And he pulled me aside. He's like, "No, we're not getting it." He said, "I saw it at a producer screening in LA. The producers they didn't know what to do. They said everybody hates this thing in the industry." He says they're not going to release it to press, and nobody's going to like this thing. And I said, "Okay." So I waited. I didn't even go see it at the theater. I waited till home,
Yeah.
and I still paid too much.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad film.
Like I said, you know, as an indie filmmaker and stuff like that too, I always feel bad ragging and stuff, but like
Yeah, me too.
it's you know, we have to grow from experiences. There's, you know, not everything's be perfect. You know, you have to reset your bar to zero. You have to understand the bad to really appreciate the good.
Precisely. People, whenever I post my published list of worst of the year,
Hmm.
um, I not everybody, but some people, why do you have to make such a negative I'm like, read it. Read my article, please. Because I don't go in, all right, assholes, here's the word,
Right.
I always write, I change it up because I can't write the same thing every time, but I always write my intro of how I don't like giving bad reviews. I'm not harsh unless a movie really made me angry, but it's not like I set out to do that. And like you said, I make these lists because we got to learn. We got to learn from mistakes, and maybe I can guide you to a better film or keep you away from. I don't want to keep people away. I want everybody to make their own decisions, but I don't make, like you just said, we don't make these worst of lists to be mean.
Hmm.
That's not our intentions. I used to work with Ebert and I respected him, but his famous review where his first line was, I hate, 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 hate this movie. I would never start a review like that or end, whatever. I won't do that. I've been harsh, but not in a look how mean and creatively angry I am.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not out of spite, it's out of, "Hey, man, why'd you do this to me?" You know? If
Right.
I write a bad review, there's no joy in it. That means I lost 2 hours of my life
Yep.
not enjoying something, so, yeah, I
Oh
agree.
yeah.
We learn filmmakers should learn from their mistakes, and, I'm talking to you, Soska sisters, I love you. Please look at my reviews of all your other films, please. Yeah. I didn't even write a review.
Oh
I
wow.
I should have, and that's not how you do it professionally, but it was not a press screening, so I didn't have to. Yeah, I didn't want to. Number 1, I didn't want them to see it. It's like, they follow me, they comment on sometimes on reviews, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want you to see this." So I just kept quiet about it. Until now, it's out for the world.
Awesome.
You
Oh.
outed me on your show.
It's what
Oh,
we do. No.
that's what you're right.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, anything to add before we wrap up this episode?
Um, we spoke about at the beginning. I really think it was a strong year for horror,
Hmm.
and I'm glad not only that audiences supported horror this year.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like the low budget stuff, the stuff that came out of nowhere. Like Longlegs made a fortune. And when I saw it, I didn't think that was gonna it might be a cult hit. It made a fortune. It was an actual almost blockbuster film. And it in a way, for those not following, it came out of nowhere. And Nosferatu's making bank, and The Substance made a lot of money, which surprises me. For the amount of theaters it was in, it wasn't a wide release. And
Right.
Smile 2 was big, and Violent Nature made it, just enough for the amount of theaters that it was in. I like that this was a strong year that fans of the genre supported, and I hope that continues. And it was a creative year, I think, for horror films. In A Violent Nature, always something new. Long Legs, and it was also a year of um as we spoke of with Alien Romulus, just respect for the old style and carrying that over to the new generation of moviegoers. And yeah, it's a strong year. I was very happy. I was happier with the horror this year than mainstream films.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
for
there were a
sure.
lot of great ones, but not a ton. But horror, yeah, my whole top 15 could have been horror, frankly. And I think I had 3 or 4 on there, but, yeah, it was a great year. I mean, I'm just kinda reiterating our whole show, but that's
Yep.
my final thought. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm looking forward to 2025. I have a list of things that I'm really excited for. I'm really excited for Alien Earth as a TV show.
Oh, me too. I am dying to see that thing.
And the excitement for that, because we've done the entire Alien franchise, is do we cover a TV show? It's maybe difficult for us to do. We may have to do a couple episodes, and we typically do movies, but like we love the Alien franchise so much. Do we do it? And then where do we draw the line for movies and TV shows and all that jazz? So
Right.
it's become a big debate internally on our team just to figure out what we're going to do with it. You know, I'm excited for The Wolfman. I cannot wait to see that in, I think it's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I have my press screening Monday, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I'm excited, yeah.
Yeah.
What he did with The Invisible Man blew me away, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
So yeah, there's good potentials to this stuff as we know what's planned and what's being called out. There's always new stuff that's dropping, of course, on Shudder, on Tubi, and all this great stuff. So we're hoping 2025 is a gear up for just a fantastic year of horror.
It's promising so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds promising, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just no more King adaptations for a while, please. Let's just wait till somebody knows how
Is
to do it, does it?
is the monkey not one?
Oh yeah, the monkey. Well, that's Osgood Perkins.
Yeah.
So I think we're in good hands. I think we're in good hands.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how Final Destination pans out.
Yeah, I confess as a horror fan that isn't my favorite franchise, but there's a couple good ones in there.
Yeah.
We'll
So.
see. Yeah. I don't know. I'm as a horror fan, I'm always optimistic but cautiously so as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
Um but horror, it seems it's always been since I really think since the mid to late 90s, maybe it started with Scream. It is no more the guy who lives in a basement regarding movie genres. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We like him, but he keeps to himself. We hang out with him occasionally. You know, it's more mainstream now, and I like and hate that sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm hoping Demi Moore gets nominated. I for an Oscar. I love that Silence of the Lambs was the first one to really break in and win things
Mm-hmm.
for the genre. But Dirty Secret, I don't think it's the masterpiece everybody says it is, but I think it's a damn great film. Uh, yeah, I just want to see horror. There's so like if it, in a perfect world, what's her name from Smile 2 would be nominated. The art direction for that and Long Legs would be nominated. All these movies would be nominated. Nosferatu, I don't think got any Golden Globe nominations.
Which is a shame.
It's a real shame, but hopefully I fear with the Oscars that's going to be the one that gets all the technical nominations. And I think it deserves more than that, but I'm fine with that. It deserves it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Just from a film point, even the muted colors almost make it seem black and white. It was just shot
oh,
perfectly.
yeah, I forgot to mention that. I'm glad you did. Yeah, that's one of the great things about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the score, I love the score. Good old-fashioned score. Yeah, it's proving to be a new dawn for horror, and I hope it continues because as we know, horror goes through peaks and valleys throughout the decades, and I think we're in a peak, and I don't see a downhill side so far. So
Yes.
we'll see. We'll
All
see.
right. Well, I'm hoping you join us next year for the 2025 review.
Lock me in. I will be back.
All right.
I'm
Sounds
hoping
good.
you have me on before then.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Anthony, for joining us on this extra special episode.
Thank you so much. It was a blast. I love talking about it. I love talking about the first 5.
Yeah.
I didn't like the second 5.
That's perfectly fair. All right. Well, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.